About 100,000 people marched through Los Angeles to mark the centennial of the Armenian genocide. The City of Angels has a large ethnic Armenian population. It's believed 1.5 million Armenians died at the hands of the Ottoman Turks in 1950. But the Turkish government still refuses to concede it was a genocide.
And it's great to be part of the diasporan community, continuing to fight for justice and for the truth. It's so wonderful to see international recognition and support from the global community.
But not Obama.
Not Obama, unfortunately. He has not kept his promise to the Armenian community and continues to deny the genocide.
We must never forget. The first genocide happened. The Holocaust would not have happened had people recognized the first genocide. They would have been aware.
President Obama travels to Germany tomorrow, the final stop on his three-nation tour. In London today, he took part in a youth town hall meeting where he heard an emotional statement of personal identity.
Let's see. Young lady right there. Go ahead.
It was an unscripted moment at President Obama's town hall. 20-year-old student Maria Munir made an extraordinary announcement.
Now, I'm about to do something terrifying, which is I'm coming out to you as a non-binary person, which means that I don't fit within... I'm getting emotional, I'm so sorry.
Non-binary or transgender people often face bigotry, something the president said he's trying to change.
But I think the trend lines are good on this. We're moving in the right direction, and in part because of courageous and active young people like yourself.
But the UK government has warned its citizens to be careful when traveling to North Carolina and Mississippi, where new laws have provoked a storm of criticism that they unfairly target lesbian, gay, and transgender groups. British Prime Minister David Cameron.
As a friend, what do you think of those laws?
Our view on any of these things is that we believe that we should be trying to use law to end discrimination.
Rather
than to embed it or enhance it.
President Obama told Britons they should not be afraid to travel to either state.
I want everybody here in the United Kingdom to know that the people of North Carolina and Mississippi are wonderful people. They are hospitable people. They are beautiful states. I also think that the laws that have been passed there are wrong.
Right here in Mississippi, just 2 weeks ago, how swiftly progress can hurtle backward. How easy it is to single out a small group and marginalize them because of who they are or who they love. So we've got to stand side by side with all our neighbors. Straight, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, Muslim, Jew, Christian, Hindu, immigrant, Native American, because the March for Civil Rights isn't just about African Americans, it's about all Americans. It's about making things more just, more equal, more free for all our kids and grandkids. That's the story you all have the opportunity to write. That's what this historic university has prepared you to do. So graduates, here is my challenge to you today. I want you to honor the legacy of our past by making your mark on the future.
Well, Trump might have stepped in it today after he said that transgender people like Caitlyn Jenner can use whatever bathroom they want at Trump Tower. This was during NBC's Today Show. Trump came out against the North Carolina bathroom bill that required people to use the biologically correct bathroom, and he noted that the state has faced a lot of strife and economic punishment as a result of the law. Trump basically said that people he's spoken to says, you know, they've had very few problems, leave it the way it is. They're paying a big price, and there's a lot of problems economically with what's going on. But Trump, you've completely missed the point. North Carolina was fighting back against a federal mandate. Okay, it's a very small percentage of the population, and now there is a totalitarian move by the federal government to police people and especially private businesses. Now here in DC, they want residents there to report private businesses over the gender-neutral bathroom law. They say if you see a public bathroom with one stall that is not gender neutral, just tweet us the business name and location using Safe Bathrooms DC or fill out our 5-question form. And they say they want to make it a more enjoyable place for transgender and other communities. But like I said, it's 0.3% of the population, but the majority of people are now being policed and forced to have to accommodate to a relatively new thing without probably, proper education on the whole thing. And a lot of people are speaking out about it to their detriment. Much like ESPN's Kurt Schilling, he's been fired for daring to comment on a Facebook meme. He shared this meme on his Facebook page. They're kind of clearly showing that he was against transgender individuals using bathrooms against their biological sex. ESPN said he's been terminated, his conduct was unacceptable. So there's a no tolerance, zero tolerance for the majority of people in this country who do not identify as transgender, which is 0.3% of the population.
4 Minnesota residents from a local Somalian community outside Minneapolis will be on trial next month for conspiring with ISIS, plotting to carry out possible attacks here in the U.S. According to federal prosecutors, one of those accused terrorists, Khalid Ali Omar, even conceived a plan to route foreign fighters across the U.S.-Mexican border. All this comes as FBI Director James Comey warned of a possible Brussels-style attack in America within the next 2 years.
Did you know that pennies and nickels, besides being by far the worst trick-or-treating prize a kid could get, cost more to make than they're actually worth? A penny costs 1.7 cents to make, a nickel 8 cents. So basically the government is paying $100 million every year to make coins that many people would not even bother to bend over to pick up. Treasury Secretary Jack Lew has reportedly said he wants to stop making the penny, but there is a lot of resistance to ditching the coins, including from lobbying groups for metal producers and from the company Coinstar, which is behind those machines you see in the front of the supermarket, which literally make money from gobbling up the change that you haven't counted yourself.
Federal investigators in Southern California say they found what could be the longest cross-border drug tunnel. They announced Wednesday that the tunnel's discovery led to a massive drug bust. The tunnel apparently stretches the length of more than 8 football fields from Tijuana in Mexico to San Diego.
Barely wide enough to squeeze a person through, this unassuming hole transforms into an elaborate underground maze. Clear. Zigzagging for half a mile, the cramped, compact tunnel stretches across the U.S.-Mexico border, and investigators say it's an unprecedented drug smuggling system.
We believe this to be the longest tunnel that we've discovered in this district to date.
As part of an 8-month investigation, federal agents seized more than 1 ton of cocaine and 7 tons of marijuana, worth nearly $30 million. The tunnel stretched from Tijuana all the way to this industrial park in San Diego where the drugs were loaded. Only about 3 feet wide, the tunnel was remarkably complex.
10 feet down in this hole, it's really a completely different story. It is equipped with a ventilation system and a commercial large elevator that I would estimate could hold 8 to 10 people.
Investigators say this is the largest single seizure of cocaine related to a tunnel along the California-Mexico border. Most of the cocaine smuggled into the U.S. comes in on small boats and even makeshift submarines. We saw this firsthand when we traveled with the Coast Guard last year, following a record $200 million drug bust in the Pacific. So far, 6 people, including 1 U.S. citizen, have been arrested in connection with this latest seizure, and they face drug trafficking charges.
Now turning to Iraq with a very disturbing story where Daesh terrorists have executed 250 girls in Iraq for refusing to become sex slaves. Now, the Kurdish Democratic Party says the girls were all killed in the northern city of Mosul. It says some of them were executed alongside their families for refusing to become sex slaves for their captors. Thousands of women and girls have been abducted, raped, forced into marriage, or sold as sex slaves by Daesh members in Iraq and Syria. The terrorist group runs frequent sex slave markets in areas under its control. Many of its victims have been from the Kurdish community in northern Iraq.
In another important story tonight, police in southern Ohio have a dragnet out for a killer who executed 8 members of one family. The murderer hunted down the extended family in several homes in a rural county.
The motive for the killings remains unclear tonight, but the Roden family was clearly targeted. 8 of them killed execution style. Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine.
It would appear that all of them were shot in the head. It would appear also that it occurred during the night. We have victims who were in bed. The one mom apparently was killed in her bed. with the 4-day-old right there.
Police say the 4-day-old survived the shootings, as did a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old. All 8 were found in 4 locations, just a few miles apart.
My phone's been burning up.
Phil Fulton, pastor of the nearby church, described the victims as a woman, her ex-husband, and her adult children.
It's such a tragic situation, what's happening, and I can't imagine what they're going through right now.
While mainstream media, the failed propaganda Goliath, desperately wheezes for air, swimming upstream in a raging river of American truth and relevance, the force of the New World Order's establishment mind control is getting bolder.
With Justice Scalia on the bench, one of the few areas where the court actually had an inconsistent record relates to gun control. Sometimes the court upheld local and state gun control measures as being compliant with the Second Amendment, and sometimes the court struck them down. They say they believe the next time the court rules on gun control will make a definitive ruling.
At this point, it should come as no surprise that government-engineered propaganda was legalized in the United States in 2013, slipped into the tyrannical bulwark NDAA of 2013 while America slept. Yeah, the same NDAA that gives the government the power to detain U.S. citizens suspected of terrorism indefinitely without charge or trial. And considering the fact that the establishment's #1 target is domestic terrorists labeled as constitutionalists or patriots, or even documentary filmmakers, that authorization is highly disturbing.
They just took them away.
Where?
Re-education camps, that's what they call it.
So it should come as no surprise that the puppets with their perfect hair and hubris-filled blank teleprompter reading minds are being forced to ratchet up a full-on cannibalistic assault on their own deteriorating journalistic integrity.
We should spend more time listening to what others have to say and less focusing on the grammar, what they say it with.
Supporting mindless disinformation like this.
No, we can't be a slave for him. He got me appreciating Obama way more. Hey, Donald, and everyone that follows, you gave us your reason to be president.
And firing people like ESPN's recent firing of Kurt Schilling over the exercise over what is simply Schilling's free speech. The more this occurs, the more the disgust for mainstream media grows. Investors Business Daily writes, more information travels faster to more consumers than ever before. So why does a new survey show trust in media at rock bottom? Because so much more accurate information is available elsewhere. There is no incongruity in the fact that a new poll conducted by the Media Insight Project, a joint project of the American Press Institute and the Associated Press Center for Public Affairs Research, finds the American media's popularity way down with that of Washington politicians. With 2,014 adults surveyed, only 6% expressed a lot of confidence in the press. And in its technological haste to sell meaningless swill through clickbaiting rather than focusing on what people truly want, real verifiable journalistic truth, social media and online journalism also created its own hyperactive click trap. TheInformation.com writes, digital media companies are caught in the crap trap, mass-producing trashy clickbait so they can claim huge audiences and often higher valuations. But that model failed, heralded by mass layoffs. As the crow flies, the days of cable network media being the successful and reliable source of unfiltered information it once was in the archaic past will be as distant a memory as Brian Williams' career.